Hey guys, welcome back to the This Is Soul Skate Shop YouTube channel. I'm here today to give you a review of the Fila Nrk skates. Welcome back to the channel. We are here of course in the This Is Soul Skate Shop in Amsterdam. If you ever want to try some skates, come by our store here. If you're in the neighborhood, you can skate in the Vondelpark. We have a couple of skate spots in the neighborhood as well. If you want to do some grinding, if you want to do some cruising, then maybe this Fila skate is the way to go. In this video, I'll tell you everything there is to know about the skate, the inside and the outside, the history of the brand, the difference between the different models and what sets it apart. Fila is of course an Italian brand. It was founded in 1911, but they only started making sportswear clothing in the 1970s, and in the 90s it really hit off and became kind of like the brand that we know today. And also in the 90s they started making inline skates. In the first year that they made inline skates, it was in 1998. They also had an aggressive skate and they had a couple of recreational skates. I think they were mainly soft boots. They still make those soft boots today, or at least not the same ones, because also the company kind of like changed a little bit. In the first year it was Fila, the company themselves, making skates, and after that they made a license. So it was another company who was licensed by Fila to make skates under their name. That company right now is Fila Skates, so it's a different branch than the normal Fila. That's kind of like how Fila works anyway, by the way. So if you buy socks, it's also a licensed sock manufacturer, or their underwear, or also their clothing. Kind of like everything Fila makes is licensed. But there was a shift. From 1998, the model for their skates was totally different than the 1999 and 2000 models. They made a great aggressive skate, which was really revolutionary for that time. It was called the Smoothie and the Krusty. It came with some funky colors, red, blue. It had a flat sole plate, which was really cool for that time, like a metal structure in the frame with plastic over it. They only made it in 1 year, and then they stopped production. There's this funny skate that I have here, which is the same mold as the Fila aggressive skate, but this is from the company Out. And I believe this is a sample. So this one never got into production, so it's a one-of-a-kind skate. That's why I wanted to show it to you. I don't know when this one came out. It probably was early 2000s. And then in about 2006, I think, USD or Powerslide bought this mold, and this skate came out as the USD Realm. So the Fila aggressive skate lives on right now as the USD Realm. Although I don't think they made a production of it for a long time now, but maybe they will in the future again. I came to visit the headquarters of Fila Skates in Italy in about 2018, I guess, because I see a lot of potential with this brand, because Fila is the brand that makes skates which is the most well known for like a common audience. So if you ask people on the street, they would all know the Fila brand, of course, right? But they might not know Rollerblade or Roaches or Powerslide. So it has a lot of potential to grow the sport. So I wanted to work closer together with them. And their line back then in 2018 was really funky. It had a lot of like graphics, like graffiti style, and a lot of like logos and colors and stuff. And I'm happy to, I've worked with them to make a more cleaner skate. I pushed them a lot to make a skate that looks a little bit smoother. So I see this skate a little bit as my baby. This is the Nrk Pro Black. It's the best looking skate from Fila, in my opinion at least. So there's an improvement there which I'm pretty proud of. Fila is really big with these soft boots that I already mentioned. These can be found in a lot of sporting goods shops. They're really cheap, but they're also really weak. So the cuff moves a lot from side to side, so it doesn't have a lot of sideways support. So these are actually really bad for beginners. But not a lot of people know that Fila also makes really good skates. This is only a small percentage of the total Fila revenue, of course, for what they do in skates. Also within the segment of freestyle skates or like solid, good hardboot skates, it's really unknown that Fila makes these great skates, because you don't also see them in a lot of shops. We sell them, of course, but I think we're one of the only retailers in the Benelux, like this part of Europe. I see them in South America a little bit, and maybe a little bit more in Italy, where Fila comes from. But that's about it. I think this also has to do with their marketing, so they don't really have good international pro skaters, and they don't really make the same content that maybe brands like Powerslide and Rollerblade do. So people are less likely to come across these skates, but they're actually really high quality. Let me tell you all the little details that there is to know about it and what makes them so great. By the way, I'll throw in some terms in this video, and if you don't know any of these terms, we probably have a video on our YouTube channel explaining them. So check out our channel if you want to learn more about any of these topics, okay? So I talked about the Fila Nrk Pro Black. This is also a pro version of the Nrk, but these are actually called the Houdini, these 4 here. And with these 3, you see that they're the same boot, but they have a different frame. This one comes with 125, this one comes with 3x110, and this one comes with 4x80. The boot is exactly the same, and the frame is different. These 2 frames use the same technology. That means that there's a single axle going in and screwing in the frame itself. But these ones, the 80mm version, has a double axle, meaning that there's a head here and a head there, and the axle screws actually inside itself. So there's a head here and a head there. So this comes stock with 4x84, but it also fits 3x100 if you take out this little thing here, and you can put in an axle as well over there in the middle. You might even be able to fit in 3x110 if you grind away some material, so that it's like really close to the boot the wheel. I like that, but I haven't tried it, so I cannot promise this. This frame and the axles is really not as good as these ones and as these ones, but it's at least a little bit better still than this one, because this one is just kind of like, it's called folding. So you just have like a sheet of metal and you press it in a big press and you fold it in this shape, but it's one of the weakest methods of making a metal frame, okay? This one is an extrusion, this one is an extrusion, and that's a lot better. This one also features the 6mm axles and also features this extra hole, which makes it kind of cool again. But yeah, if you have the choice, of course, I would go for the better quality frames. You see here that this is actually bolted on like a little block inside. You see that? So there's these 2 bolts and there's this block where this is folded around. So what I'm trying to do now is tell you a little bit about the differences between these models. And a lot of the differences are in these frames, which I just told you about. The liners are all the same. It doesn't matter if you have like a more expensive version or a cheaper version. It looks a little bit different here. It says here extreme fit, but the fit is kind of the same as the others. So there's no real difference, at least that I have noticed. The buckle is different. This buckle has a nice little leverage here, so you can pull on it more easily. But this buckle is actually also pretty great. I like it a lot. This is a different system here than here. And this has a detachable slider, and this slider is riveted on, and also the wheels are better from the Pro version. It's pretty minor differences, I would say, between the whole product range, except for the frames. The fit of the skates is pretty nice. It's pretty wide at the front and a little bit narrow in the back. There's these cushions in the liner. And they kind of like squeeze on your heel. So if you have like a big heel, then this skate is not for you. If you have a slim heel, then I would go for this one because it's really slim. It will break in a lot, of course, because these cushions in the liners, they will just kind of like disappear after you skate it for a while. And be sure if you try this, if you order this from our web shop, thisissole.com, and you get it at home before you try it, lace it all, close it, and put your knee over your toe, and that's the position that you should feel it, because then your heel will also be more tucked in to the back of the skate. The skate comes in 7 shell sizes, which is actually quite a lot. So that means that for each 1.5 European size, there's one shell. So there's a shell 41, and there's a shell 42.5, and there's a shell 44. If you want to know the full sizing chart, check out our website, of course. Fila itself advertises this skate as having 2 liners in each shell. So Fila will say like there's a 42 and there's a 42.5. But in fact, the 42 and the 42.5 are bundled together in the same hard boot. And you want to have as much room in the front as possible because everybody likes a little bit room for their toes. So there's no big reason to get like a smaller size. There's more arguments about this dual sizing thing. If you want to learn more about it, we have a video about it on our YouTube channel as well. It's called the skate sizing lie. If you get a smaller liner in a shell, it will adjust to your foot anyway. You will get the shell size in the end and not the liner size. So that's why it's a little bit of a lie. Learn more about it in that video. Let's talk about the flex. The flex is pretty normal, I would say, the forward flex. A little bit stiff even. That's good if you want to have performance, I think. Some of the skates in the past, they had an adjustable cuff bolt, which you could rotate. The current models don't have that. But in the past, you could even adjust the forward flex. But right now, not anymore. But flex in general is pretty good for these skates. Not a big deal. You see that the front of the skate is lower than the back of the skate. And that's kind of like the standard way. This is also a standard mount. It's a 165mm mount. And then added over that is a little bit of a shock absorber. And in the liner is also a shock absorber. And all that makes it, here, let me show you. You see the white part underneath the liner, but inside there's also a shock absorber. So all that together makes it that this skate is a little bit high on your heel, so you're leaned a little bit forward. Not too much though, so I think you'll barely notice. But it does mean that I would not recommend to put in an extra shock absorber. I would even sooner like take this one out than put anything extra in it. Shock absorber wise, you're good with this skate. You can do some pretty good landings and not bruise your heels. Normally a shock absorber absorbs your energy and your control as well. So if you just push off, you lose a little bit of energy in that push. But this shock absorber is really hard. It's really stiff. So I don't think it will absorb that much. So it's pretty well done. Let's talk about the liner. Nice thing about the liner is that it has these laces here at the top. There's 3 lace holes. I would use only 2 if I were you. You can experiment with it yourself, of course. But at least if I prepare the skate for customers to try, then I always skip this one. So I only do those for customers. The liner is pretty decent. Like I said, it has a lot of padding in the back. A lot of padding here, which will squeeze your heel a little bit in the beginning for sure. But after skating it for some time, this will disappear. And the insole is what you would expect from a stock insole. It's not the best insole. Don't pull on the handle because you'll tear it. These are meant to carry, not to pull on. Next topic is the cuff. I tried to take this cuff off for you to see if I can put any other on, but I already knew this because I did it some time before as well. And I tried different cuffs on this skate before, and there is literally none. Because there's no like real cuff sizing system, but I tried to make one. So we have this Excel sheet here in our system with all the cuff sizing. And what we did is take like a rope from the middle of this bolt here and to the middle of this bolt and measure the length, okay? And then put it in Excel and you can sort it. And then if it's similar, you can like know that it might fit. But if you look at this list, then the Fila cuff is all the way at the top because the distance here is the shortest it can be. So it's also kind of funny what that does with the flex. I think it limits the flex a little bit, but that's also good maybe. Like that's what makes this skate a little bit stiff. The cuff bolts are like a little bit in an angle, and normally the cuff bolts are more like this. But because they're in an angle, there's a little bit resistance to go forward. But yeah, that also means that there's no like other cuff available, and we can also not get the cuff as an aftermarket. And we had, I think, 2 cuffs break from customers. So customers who came back as a warranty, and then we had to replace those cuffs. So if this will happen, of course, you can just contact us, and we'll make sure you'll get a replacement. That's no problem, but there's nothing you can do yourself. You cannot like change it for a different color or a different style. One more thing about the cuff is that for the expensive Nrk Pro models, you can take it off, and it has these cuff bolts here with an Allen key. And for the cheaper Houdini skates, it comes bolted on, which works just fine. It's interesting that it's actually a different cuff. It looks 100% the same, but even if you would drill this off, you cannot put it on this one because the hole on this one is a lot bigger than the hole on that one. Also not really necessary because this is just a fine cuff. There's a little protector here. Of course, the flaps have this scissor logo here, and they're meant to be cut off. You can cut them off in whatever length you want because it's sitting a little bit in the way. And the buckle as well is really long. So the buckle goes in, you see this? Because it's so long, it's stuck between the cuff and the liner, and that creates a lot of pressure, and then you cannot put in the buckle any further than that you would like. So I would advise you to also cut off the buckle. Let's talk more about the buckle. It's really nice that they have like this little thingy here, so it's sticking out a little bit on the Pro skates, the Nrk skates, but on the Houdini it's a little bit more flush, so it's a little bit harder to grab. All the buckles are made from metal, so that's really nice because metal buckles are of course a lot better than the plastic ones. They just close a lot better, and they're all bolted on with just standard M4 bolts. On all skates, even the cheaper one, it's all bolted on, so if you want to replace one, that's no problem. And this is the standard buckle mount. So it's SBM, standard buckle mount, with the 3 holes, 1, 2 here and 1 there, 1, 2, 3. So any buckle on our website that has SBM3 written on it will fit on this skate. If you want to replace it for a different color, or if it breaks because you fall a lot, then you can just easily replace it yourself. Next topic is the ankle buckle. Let's talk about it. That's this part here. This is called an SBM2, so it's a standard buckle mount with 2 holes. Any SBM2 buckle on our website will fit on it, and there's no reason though to change it. Otherwise, if you break it, of course. But this is a great ankle buckle. Like, look at this. It's made of metal. It's solid. It cranks. You can close it more like by doing this, and you can release it by pressing the button here. You have to push the buckle in this direction. Don't push it in that direction. On the Houdini skate, it's actually an SBM3 buckle mounted on an SBM2 buckle. So that's quite funny. This is the only skate that has this setup like this. Next topic is the frame. And this is one of my favorite topics because it's a really important part of the skate. You have to look at it kind of like if you go golfing, you have all these different clubs, right? And the frame can be just like your golfing clubs, because for each distance you use a different golf club, and also for each like way you use a skate, you use a different frame. Because if you have like this frame, 4x80, it's really good to be maneuverable. You accelerate really quick. It's easy to ride on your heel or your toes. So it's a little playful setup, but you have to know how to skate as well with it because it's a short wheelbase. If you want to be more stable, you can get a longer wheelbase. And normally with the long wheelbase, you're less maneuverable. But then if you get a rocker ring, so that the outer wheels are a little bit higher, you're maneuverable again. I think that's the ideal setup for most beginners because it's like really stable and still maneuverable. But also if you're advanced, you also still want to be stable because you want to go to the next step for your own skill level, right? And then stability always helps. If you want to have a frame like that, you can just put it on, because you can put on any frame on this skate that you want, because it has a standard mounting system. It's the 165mm mount, and I'll show you how it looks. One moment. Let me take the frame off for you. Most of these skates that have an 165mm mount, there you go, they have an M6 bolt, but this one interestingly has an M8 bolt, so that's kind of funny. There you go, and then take this one off. Got it. Okay. So here you see the M8 bolt. It's really thick, it's nice and strong, but also quite special because only, I think the RB Cruiser has this bolt, and the Fila skates have this bolt. So it's really weird why these two skates have this thick bolt. And then the FR skates, they have a bolt that looks like an M8, but it's actually not. It's an American or like an English thread standard. So if you try to put this bolt in an FR skate or like a Seba skate, you'll think it will work, but it will not work, and you need to have a different one. On our website, of course, you can find all these little detailed information about what bolt will work on what skate. We have a skate part finder tool as well on our website, so you can just click on your setup that you have, your skate, and then you find all the parts that work with your skate. So what cuff or what buckle will work on it, what bolts will work on it, what frames will work on it. Everything is explained on our website. So that's a nice thing to check out if you want to have some different parts. Here you see the bottom of the skate, and the distance between these two holes is 165mm. That's why it's called the 165mm mount. You can move the nuts. Yes. You can move the nuts a little bit forward and backwards, so you can move the entire position of the frame a little bit forward and backwards if you want to change your balance a little bit. And of course, in the frame itself is a little slot, so you can move it sideways as well. So you can play a little bit with that. Nice thing about the boot is that it has a little bit of a metal plate here, and that means that the connection between the frame and the boot is a lot stronger. If you have a skate with the plastic bottom, then the frame is still a little bit loose, and then it will be a little bit wobbly, but that's not for this skate. This skate is super solid. If you have the Pro version of this skate, then you have this nice feature. You see this straight line here? And then you see that the wheel sticks out a little bit on the top. This is really nice because that makes it that you are, about 3mm lower to the ground than that you would normally be. And for example, for the Houdini, it's not like that. Like the wheels are the same height as this line. So you're a lot higher from the ground. So that's a cool little feature, a really specific niche design thing that they did. Like there's a lot of like hidden cool things in this skate, and it's really weird. I think that the Fila Nrk is one of the most underappreciated skates on the market at this moment. Because first off, not a lot of people know that it even exists. And then secondly, not a lot of people know that it has like these cool features. The Nrk models, they do not have a brake in the box, but the Houdini models, they actually come with a brake in the box. So that's also pretty nice. You can of course put a brake on all of them. If you want to have a brake on the Nrk models, then you can just buy an aftermarket, like a universal brake. If you don't know which one to get, you can ask it in the chat on our website. Next topic is the wheel quality. Especially the wheels for the more expensive versions are a lot better, of course, than the cheaper version. This makes sense. You get what you pay for, right? And the bearings, I wouldn't pay too much attention to. They just roll. They're all fine. Things to do to improve this skate is you can, of course, put in an intuition liner. That makes it a lot better performing. You can put in a Superfeet insole, which is a lot more strong and transmit your energy a lot better, so it gives you a lot more control. You can put in some waxed laces to tighten the skates harder. And of course, if you put in rollerblade hydrogen wheels or some other like high-end, good quality wheels, you'll make the skate a lot faster. One improvement as well that you can do later after you bought the skates is to put on like a 4x100 with the rocker frame, which I already talked about before, because I think that gives you a lot more stability, speed, and the maneuverability is about the same as this. So it's a win-win-win, I think. if you take like some flow type skate frame on it. Then my overall review of this skate is that it's firstly highly underappreciated. It's actually not known even that well, but it's a great skate. It's a solid boot. There's a few different price points of it, and I think the quality of the boots is pretty comparable. There's some minor differences like the ankle buckle, the top buckle, and the riveted cuff bolts, but the quality of the boots is about the same, and the quality of the frames is for sure better on the pro skates. That's my overall review. If you have more questions about the skate, of course, you can drop it in the comments of the YouTube channel, or you can just send us a WhatsApp message or an email or whatever with all your questions. Let me know what you think. And we make a new video every week. So if you like these videos, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.